Good morning, everybody, and to everybody, good morning. Welcome to Coffee Time. Here's what we're going to do. I need you to do me a favor, invite somebody to share. Invite somebody to share. We're going to have a great one this morning, promise you. Woke up feeling that way. Invite somebody to share, tell them Coffee Time is on, and we'll be back after this.
Coffee time. Yeah, this ain't your average cup of joe. Listen, I need it in the morning, I need it at night. He always keeps it brewing, he always keeps it tight. Just a little sip, it'll get you right. Terrence Pickett always be the one that gets the coffee right. The coffee's right, the coffee's right in my life. It's never a wrong time over crime to get what's yours and to get what's mine. Come on. Coffee time in my life. Coffee time feels so right. I need a little sugar, put it in my cup. Can you stir it, Terrence? Let me know what's up. And at the end of the show, you can brew another pot. Just make sure you make it hot. Come on.
And good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. I did. Of course, I did. Got an opportunity to spend some time with family. I was my parents' chauffeur. We had a celebration of my niece. She's actually my cousin, but she's my niece. She graduated from the Hill. That is FAMU. She is Dr. Jasmine Honey Kelly. It's been a joy to watch her grow. It's been a joy to be, of course, a part of an awesome family. That's what I have. And to see this day, at 23 years old, she becomes a doctor. Man, I know how I feel. So I know her mom and dad just totally ecstatic. Good morning, Tina White McPherson, Teresa Bryant, Garrett Randolph. What up, bro? Joseph Moore, thank you for congratulating my niece. I appreciate that. Good morning to everybody that is on, and to everybody that is on, good morning. If you are on YouTube, you're the real MVP. If you do not have a YouTube account, you ought to set one up. Follow us on YouTube. Make sure you hit the bell. The bell just gives you the indication when we come on live. Believe it or not, Facebook has changed the algorithms again. Every time they change the algorithms, believe it or not, if there's not a lot of activity between you and whoever you're following, you're not going to see them. It's not going to come up. So make sure you follow me on YouTube. We're slimming down to the date wherein we're just going to be doing the show on YouTube. We'll come on Facebook. What'll happen is we'll kick it off on Facebook for the first 5 or 6 minutes, and then it'll go off on Facebook. So you need to have a YouTube account because I don't want to lose anybody. I do. I love everybody, and I'm grateful that y'all been rocking with me the last 9, almost 10 years when it comes to social media as it relates to Coffee Time. So this morning, give me a second here. Good God. I put my foot in this morning. That's good coffee. That's good. That's good coffee. This morning I want to talk about really you have we hit on it last week, and I kind of want to touch on it again. Michelle Byers, good morning. Gary Randolph, thanks for sharing Coffee Time, bro. I appreciate it. Teresa Bryant, always share it. Thank you for sharing it. For those of you that haven't shared, do me a favor, invite somebody, share. We talked about this last week, and it's worth this is part 2, if you will. Angelia Pickens, and she's coming in from YouTube. You're the real MVP. You are the real. Garrett, bro, I'm going to need you to set up a YouTube account. Yeah, that's all you got to do, set up an account. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free of charge. But I want to talk about wisdom, the hidden gem. We have the hidden gem of wisdom, and that is not knowledge. A lot of people believe that wisdom is knowledge. DeJuan McIntyre, good morning. Knowledge is information. You can be knowledgeable and not have wisdom. Knowledge is the gathering of information, but wisdom is how it's distributed. Wisdom is the principal seat or key as to how you distribute or what you do with what you know. Hey, thanks, Gare. John Quill Hudno, good morning. So people believe that you have to be somebody deep. You have to be someone extremely brilliant in order to walk in wisdom, and that's not true. There is a scripture that says, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God. But let me tell you where wisdom comes from. It comes from God. I think that's the obvious. But let me tell you how wisdom increases in your life. How much have you learned? How much have you applied as it relates to what you know? Vanessa Robertson, good morning. How much have you learned through what you've gone through? So most of life, and I'll say this about the Bible, contrary to what people believe, when it comes to the life of Jesus, he didn't teach in the synagogue. He wrote that book, and the pages that were written about him was written in conversation as they traveled together, as they did life together. They began to record his sayings. Most of the wisdom that is going to be released to you in your life comes through everyday situations. You know, it doesn't come through you standing in line, having somebody breathe on you, lay hands on you right across in your forehead, or draw a cross in your back. It comes from life experiences on a day-to-day basis. So whatever experiences that you have, you encounter, I love you, encounter. Those are the experiences that become the soil for wisdom to grow. I think we all should read. I believe that information is the key to understanding, but wisdom is the key for how we expand, distribute our understanding. Have you ever been with someone who just have horrible timing? Well, a lot of that is not that their timing is off. They don't have the wisdom to be able to discern what to do and when. So we need wisdom in all things, and we need wisdom at all times. I was speaking with one of my cousins, and he got a job offer. The job offer that he received was paying him, I believe, in the neighborhood to about $10,000 more than what he was making. And I told him, before you take that offer, put pressure on them. If they can give you 10 grand more, they can do 50, maybe even 70 or 80. Now, somebody might say, well, Pickett, you're pushing it. In whose mind? I mean, who holds the scale to determine what is excessive, what is too much, what is greed. I believe that million-dollar, multi-billion-dollar companies are trained to pay us pennies and make it seem as if they're doing us a favor. Bishop Irvin Jones, the little bro, is on this morning. Good to see you, man. This our week right here, bro. The weekend belongs to us, I'm telling you. Clear your calendar. I believe that companies are designed or created, or they're skilled in negotiations, of course, and their job is to lowball you. Our job is to get as much as we can from them. But you need wisdom on how to negotiate, because there's also a level of feel, chemistry. This is kind of what I was talking about last week when it came to police officers patrolling our communities, that, yeah, you can have all the book knowledge in the world, but you need something more than that to be successful in that field and many others, primarily because you need to be able to know who is who without knowing who is who. So there's a level of negotiations that you are to have. You ought to have skill on, be skilled on. One of the advantages that we have versus our parents and our grandparents and previous generations, is that we have the world at our fingertips. So when it comes down to negotiating your salary for your job, who's to say how much is too much? Well, there's a certain feel that you have when you're talking to the person. I never forget, I was being hired for a job, and at the time, this is a while ago, they were only paying about, I think my salary came out to about $1,000 a week. Well, it was pretty good money, especially back in the day. I was about $1,000 a week. This is what the job pays. You get full benefits. You get 2 weeks vacation. $401k. And I began to write where she could see me. I began to write down everything that she said that I got with the job, what it comes with. Then I began to ask some questions. She said, well, she actually opened the floor. After she said what she had to say, she opened the floor. She said, do you have any questions? Yes, I do. She says, okay. I said, now, when you talked about 401k, you also said that you all match dollar for dollar. Am I correct? She said, yes. And I asked her, I said, well, is there any way for every dollar that I invest that you all could pay $2 or $3? She gave me the weirdest stare.
I found this on the web. Is there any way for...
Yeah, I'm not talking to you, young lady. Thank you for your assistance. That's my assistant, Siri. So I didn't hit a button or anything. She just started talking. Big brother's always watching. Then I went from 401k. I walked her down to the vacation. Instead of 2 weeks, can I get 6 weeks? When we left, everything that the job said that they were going to give me, I challenged. Here's why I challenged it. I want to know who writes the rules. How far can I go? Now, that's me, because I wanted to maximize this negotiation, primarily because it's only going to come around once. Whatever I accept here, I'm going to have to be able to live with it in the days to come. And there was a possibility, I'm telling you, there's a possibility that I would not be able to get a raise, because they promise you raises, and either the raise is so small you don't see it or you never get it. Well, I had been burned in the past. So in the past, I gained knowledge. I'm not going to back myself against the wall or pin myself in a corner. No, going in the door, we're going to talk about what I can have, because here's the deal. All they can say is no. So it's real important to allow that wisdom that is in you to exceed you. A lot of people have a hard time with wisdom because of fear. They're afraid to ask. The salary at that time was about $53,000 a year. That's what the job paid. I asked for $98,000. I did. And we went back and forth with the salary. We ended at 68. Here's my point. 68,000 is a lot more than 53,000, but I never would have got the 68 if I allowed fear to take over. But there was a wisdom in how I asked. I didn't go in with my chest out. There's a level of humility and meekness that you have to walk in. Believe it or not, humility and meekness, it's an energy. It can be felt. It can be seen. I'm not talking about you looking poor. You can have strength. Matter of fact, meekness is strength under control. Ann Johnson from Goose Creek, South Carolina. What's up, Ann? Good morning. Look at here. Terry Brown decided to visit the little people. Y'all give it up for Terry Brown. He would visit Coffee Time quite frequently until his online Bible study increased. He got a little members on his little Bible study. He don't come to Coffee Time no more. Susie Atkins, good morning, good morning, good morning. So there is a wisdom that is inside of you, but that wisdom cannot help you, be a benefit to you if you don't submit to it. There's a wisdom that you need to have in friendships. I was speaking with my brother last night, and my blood, brother, and we were talking about a family member and some things that the family member had done as a result of the things that they had done. When it comes to family gatherings, you have to be a little sensitive that who you invite. Ultimately, and my brother was telling me about one of my cousins that I love with all my heart. Let me tell you something about family dynamics. You really need wisdom for your family. Here's why. Jesus had some of the same problems that we're presented with today. They grew up with him. They played kickball with him, baseball, if you can use your imagination. You know what I'm saying? They hung out with Jesus as a kid. As a result of that, as he got older and began to declare his Father's will, there's going to always be those to try and bring you back down to where you were instead of where you are. And the first thing that they begin to hear, a platform is built for you and people know you. They feel as if you owe them something, like they're responsible for the success that you have right now. So what family do, they don't want to be left behind. So they position themselves to try, if they're not careful, a lot of them position themselves and they want to take credit for where you are. Then they want everybody who loves you, who appreciates you, to come through them to get to you. Family dynamics are, I really believe, if we master how to deal with our family, we will master our presentation for the world. Family dynamics is class, man. It's school. The only reason I was able to deal with poisonous leaders is I had poisonous people in my family. You have the people that are selfish. They don't want to share you. God put something on the inside of you that you have to release in the earth. But you have family members that want to hinder what God has placed. And they always want to keep you where you've been instead of respecting where you are. Well, it takes wisdom to deal with your family. It does. And let me tell you, I give you another point. As you begin to grow in life, there are places where you've been, there are things that you've done in your youth, in your immaturity, that some people will park in that place. And every time you grow, they want to remind you of what you did when you were younger. And it's to try to freeze where you are. And in their mind, you don't deserve it because of what you've done. Well, they don't have the wisdom of appreciation, because when a person is grateful and appreciative and they are happy for you, they will look at your progress, especially knowing where you've been, and they'll be more celebrating or celebratory, or they'll celebrate you more. They won't pin you down. What happens a lot of times in family dynamics is there is iniquity in the heart, jealousy, and as a result of that jealousy, they don't want you to rise above them. They want you to rise with them. And if you leave them in your rising, that envy, that jealousy begins to be released, and they'll do anything to try and keep you down and then make you feel bad when you snap on them. So it takes wisdom even to deal with family. Look at here. My big cousin, Willie Burton, is on. Now, many of you may or may not know Willie Burton. If you are a basketball fan, this is the NBA great, Willie Burton. This is my cousin in Detroit, Michigan. This is the cousin who, when he went to the NBA, didn't forget about his family. He bring us up when he was playing with the Miami Heat. I remember when he was playing with the San Antonio Spurs. I remember going to Detroit, even as a grown man, he taking us out, paying for everything. So it's good to see the big cuz on. And he says, you just realizing that about family. They've been partying while you've been building, but what's yours is theirs. Isn't that the truth? That's funny that he would say that, because here's what happens while you're building: the sacrifices that you're putting in, your work ethic, your ability to change who you are, alter who you are every day, your ability to gain information and wisdom as it relates to your environment. You're making all these critiques to you, all these changes. You're reading, you're staying up late at night, you're rising early in the morning. You're doing the things that it takes to be successful while they're sitting on the porch doing nothing to increase themselves. And as God begin to bless you and you rise, they don't want to see you go anywhere. Tayita Stacy, good morning. Barbara Gray, what up, Reb? Good to see you. Good to see you this morning. Let me tell y'all else. Y'all, excuse me, let me just brag on my family a little while. Willie Burton is also a part of the team. Y'all remember when the NBA would come to Jacksonville for the preseason games? Well, that was him and his team. You cannot allow family or friends to hinder the peace of your party and stop you from enjoying accomplishments that you've made. You got to stop being apologetic to people who don't deserve an apology. They should be apologizing to you for not pushing you, for not going with you, and for not doing more to support you. Nicole S., good morning. They owe you an apology. There are people, when you get around them, they want you to repent for who you are and lower yourself to where they are. and we have to walk on eggshells in order for them to feel great. Well, let me help you out. Even if it's family, those are not people that you need in your circle, but you need the wisdom on how to deal with them. You do. Wisdom gives you an advantage in every environment with everybody. If you just listen to that wisdom. Now, here's the deal. In listening to that wisdom, it's very important that you also yield to it. Because if you don't yield to that wisdom, if you do not yield to that wisdom, what happens long term is that your ear becomes callous to that wisdom. Then in the day of adversity, when you need to pull on it, it won't be as sharp because you've not yielded to. Whatever you yield to is what you become. I'm going to say that again. Whatever you yield to is what you become. There's a story in the Bible about a guy named Joseph. His brother set him up, threw him in a hole, left him, sold him into slavery, went back and told their daddy. Joseph was killed. They came up with this scheme. Listen, I am always shocked at the level of deceit that people will go to try and bury your success and hinder you from being the successor. They put blood from an animal on a coat, gave it to their father, told him, hey, Joseph has been killed. Now, their daddy goes into a state of mourning thinking that his son is dead when they came up with this plot because they were jealous of him. They were jealous because God chose him. Let me tell you something. You don't control who God chooses. My Bible tells me, yours the same. He raises one up and he brings one down. It says that promotion, it doesn't come from the east or west. Promotion doesn't come from your lightning fast mind. You don't get promoted because you're good. You get promoted because he's God. And God gives you the wisdom on how to handle the success that you have. People that have experienced or are experiencing high level of success and they're not arrogant, those people have been processed. They've gone through the proper channels. They come up in the rank. They had to work hard for what they have. So there's a level of meekness that they have, but they're not going to let you waste their time. And a lot of times, especially when you've been given multiple gifts, those gifts have responsibilities. And the more responsibilities you are, the less time you have to play. So people believe because you're busy, you're being funny. No, I'm busy trying to pour myself out, trying to pour out my purpose, trying to complete this thing in the earth, because I understand that time is the only thing we do not get back. So what you have to do is position yourself, and I'm going to tell you how to happen. God will send people. Sometimes it's your family. Sometimes it's friends. Sometimes God will send a stranger to you to develop a relationship to be the support that you need. You have to use wisdom in bringing your family along. Ask MC Hammer. He tried to bring the whole block. Then they became a casualty to his success. You have to bring people along who share the same ideologies. Because here's what happens. A lot of times, grace will allow a door to be open for us to succeed because of our diligence, our integrity, the things that we've been working out in us. So now the door opens for us to walk into. But because we have people that put pressure on us and we feel obligated to appease them, we want to bring them into the door, but they're not groomed for the table. They don't understand excellence. So they get in there and ruin it for all of us. This is why people in Hollywood marry people in Hollywood. They generally marry someone they can relate to. You never been anywhere. You never done nothing. You're going to be overly critical of what should be or shouldn't be. And that's going to happen primarily because you don't have the expertise or the experience or the wisdom to navigate in certain areas because it doesn't belong to you. Let me tell you something, man. When God begins to bless you and open doors for you, you better go with your head up, your chest out, and your shoulders back, giving God thanks and praise, because even if your family was the support for you to get there, family couldn't have done it without the grace of God. So God should get the credit. Love on your family. Appreciate your family. But don't you let your family ruin your success. Costs too much to get it. I was, so if you missed Friday, you missed a great show. We talked about the Mother's Day concert that we're going to do. We're doing a Mother's Day concert the same way we did it last year, but it's going to be bigger and better. And, you know, I'm calling because of what you gave towards the Mother's Day concert. It puts more responsibility now to manage those funds and get people who understand what we're trying to do, like-minded individual, like-hearted individual. And just because they have skill, that's not enough. They also need the character. And one of the things that I was telling the MD, like, hey, you know, we need to use this person. We need to use that. What do you think about that? He was like, yeah, I agree. Because I told him I want to be careful how I manage the people's fund. We're not doing this out of my pocket alone. People have given to this project. It's got to be right. No place for error. Now, you want to see me turn into another man? Mess over that music that we've taken the time to learn, to perfect, to bring a level of excellence so that we can communicate through music, the heart, the attitude of God to bless people. And you think you're going to come and just make it because you're gifted? No, I'll take someone less gifted, but that heart is positioned to do things right, and it'll be better than the person who has more skill. Promise you it will. So you got to be careful who you bring in. They will, listen, they made a mess of their life. They've not been a good steward over their life. What makes you think they're going to be a good steward over anything that you offer them? I was telling another cousin this week. We got a cousin who the only time they call is when they need money. They used to get me all the time. They did. Not anymore. I cut them off. Because it's one thing to be in a jam and need help, but it's another thing for this to be a lifestyle. So you mess over your money and think you have access to mine. No, you are a bad steward. And I told my other cousin, stop loaning them money. You're not helping them. In fact, you're strengthening their handicap. The reason they deal poorly with their finances is they know they can spend yours. So it's the principle of stewardship. If you're faithful over what you have, he'll make you rule. He will promote you and make you ruler over much. But if you mismanage the small things, you're going to always be where you've always been because character has not been developed in you. And one of the things that time is supposed to do, time is a tool to help build in you the things that are necessary so that you can embrace success and not embarrass yourself on the big stage. Now, let me help you out. Anybody can err. Anybody can make a mistake. To err is human. But if you trace these mistakes, if you look at them, trace them, and really think about the mistakes that people make on the big stage, they're really not mistakes at all. They're character flaws. It was in them all along, and it was not worked out of them as they begin to grow. So when the big stage come and the lights are on from every direction, it will expose not just what you are, but what you are not. So this is why we shouldn't be jealous or envious of another person's success, because the wisdom that it took them to achieve that is going to take that same wisdom for you. Take your time. Let God work out the things in you that aren't right and perfect those things that are in you, so that when you get to the big stage, you don't make a mess out of his name or out of his grace. Anybody have any questions this morning? Anybody? 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 Anybody have any questions this morning? So when we operate in wisdom, wisdom would tell us who to call, who to hang up on. Wisdom would tell you who to hang out, who to cut off. Wisdom would tell you what door to open, what door to close. Wisdom will also tell you when to open the door and how long you need to stay in the hallway. We have an innate ability to be able to know things that are beyond our knower because of the gift of wisdom that God has placed inside of us. And wisdom gets stronger. It gets stronger when you use it. It becomes harder for you to hear it when it's not in operation in your life. All right. Thank you all. For those of you that gave, I'm telling you, y'all the real MVP. I'm telling you, for those of you that gave towards the Mother's Day concert, I've got a treat for you that's going to blow your mind. We have set a date. We're going to have it to air, and we've got to move fast because Mother's Day is right around the corner, to air on Mother's Day. For those of you that would like to give to that concert, to the recording, or you just want to give to support Coffee Time, the Cash App is on the screen. It's $sponsor Coffee Time. You can give. It allows us the opportunity and the ability to expand what we're doing and to touch every field that we're called to. So I appreciate you, your gift, as well as you giving. Appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing Coffee Time with the world. Thank you for those of you that are on YouTube. Believe it or not, I want everybody to get a YouTube account because YouTube promised to pay us, but there are certain requirements that have to be had. So when you're communicating, when you're asking questions on YouTube, type it out, put it in there. Believe it or not, it helps our channel. So if you don't have a YouTube account, go ahead and set one up today. Use that. Join us for Coffee Time on YouTube. We have about 50 to 60 people on each platform. We have about 8 platforms. If we just go with the number 50 on 8 platforms, that's about 400 people that's tuned in at the same time. That doesn't count the replay numbers. Well, those numbers, believe it or not, helps us on YouTube. So I need you, if you will, if you can, set up a YouTube channel, follow us there, hit the bell so you'll know when we go live. And I appreciate it. I'm thankful to God that we're able to do life together. We are a team, and I'm glad for it. Without your ear, I don't have a voice. You make this possible. Remember, you were born to win, predestined to succeed. There's nothing that can happen to you today that the wisdom on the inside of you is not able to handle. But you've got to calm down, slow down, use emotional intelligence, trust the God that we know and believe. Listen to wisdom. When you listen to wisdom, you will always win. You all go have a productive day. And remember, in all things, wisdom is the principal key. And remember to think higher, speak life. Have a great day. Look forward to talking with y'all at some point to later to my Encounter family. I miss you guys. Let's get it today.
Coffee time. Yeah, this ain't your average cup of joe. Listen, I need it in the morning, I need it at night. He always keeps it brewing, he always keeps it tight. Just a little sip, it'll get you right. Terrence Pickett always be the one that gets the coffee right. The coffee's right, the coffee's right in my life. It's never a wrong time or a crime to get what's yours and to get what's mine. Come on. Coffee time in my life. Coffee time. Feels so right. I need a little sugar, put it in my cup. Can you stir it, Terrence? Let me know what's up. And at the end of the show, you can brew another pot. Just make sure you make it hot. Come on.